So thank y'all so much one more time for coming tonight. Y'all give it up for the Grand Theater for letting us throw this here. Get this together. Should I play one of mine or play one y'all know? All right, y'all, I'll play this last one. This is one me and a buddy of mine wrote a couple years back. It's going to be coming out this year. This song was written about a man that died in a pickup truck, and it was written from the point of view of his song we work really hard on, y'all. This is called High Sierra. You get high for it. It's one that means the world to me. It's a little different playing it without a band tonight, so I'm gonna try to give y'all the best representation I can. Get here fast as you can. First time I understand. Everything on the floor is right. All right, little technical difficulty, but we are good. What do you guys think of Brandon Hart? I met him a couple years ago at actually a Clackamas County event. We were doing sound over there, and the guy's just got so much talent bleeding out of him that he's got so much potential. I just couldn't help but get behind him. I just love his music. I love his message. He's a very high Christian man, God fearing, and we love that. So we want to amplify him and boost him up. If you guys want to find him, you can find him at Instagram. He's at BHeart Music. Make sure to check him out. But first, can I get this mic out here? Blue one. All right. My favorite. First of all, I want to welcome you guys again for coming out. I really appreciate it. Every single one of you is going to make a difference. Every single one of you has an opportunity right now to get involved in the elections. If you aren't registered as a Republican right now is the most important time to do it. It's that vote that's going to make a difference. There's a lot of pressure happening on the federal side of things that hopefully we're able to push things to get rid of the mail-in voting and all the other nonsense that we don't need. If we get rid of that, if we get rid of it, do you know how much the scales are going to be tipped in our favor? We're going to have a supermajority in the House and the Senate, and we will have a Republican governor. I guarantee it. And right now is the moment that we will have them. I believe it. And these candidates and these people, I believe that they believe that too. And so that's what we're here for, and that's what we're here to do. But first, we have to give our graces to America. Is there a Susie White in the house? Susie White? Give a round of applause for Susie White, everybody. It's the no mornings that are the good mornings, right? You can use this one. We get a little more gain in there. All right, if we can all stand for the national anthem. Corey, thank you. All right, maybe dim the lights a little bit. Take it away, Susie. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see the early light? What's so proud at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars bring the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets that our flag was still there. Oh, say does star-spangled banner wave o'er the land and the hope
Nice. Thank you, Susie. Amazing. Shed a little tear. Okay, we got a lot of great speakers tonight. Our first one is I'm really excited for. Very fascinating guy. In case you guys don't know him, his name is Tom Hatsis. He's a fellow Portland native. Very, has a long bio. I can't talk about the whole thing, but the most important thing that I wanted to highlight is this past summer, Hatsis made known for that he was not on board with the gender ideology, and the mob came. What an interesting thing to stand for is Open Mic had to cease his community was attacked. They were coming after his business. It was destroyed, including one act of arson, and everything that he had built since 2018 was suddenly gone. And don't we all have a lot of these stories? Isn't that something that I believe is what has almost created a fear campaign for us as Republicans? We're scared to speak out. We're scared to have a voice. We're scared to get involved. We're scared to be seen on cameras. And this group here is not scared. These people are tried, true, tested. I believe Oregon is one of the biggest battlegrounds in the entire country. We face the biggest uphill battle ever, and I think that we're also going to be seeing the biggest victory that we've ever seen this coming November. Now he spends his time raising awareness about deceptive tactics leftist use to push an agenda that nobody wants. Everybody give a round of applause for Tom Hatzis. Let's go.
Hello. Can you all hear me? I'm just kidding. I'm Italian from New York. I know you can hear me. I also just wanted to say a quick thank you to Brandon Hart. That was the first time in my life I ever unironically said, "Let's go, Brandon." Thank you all so much for being here tonight, and thank you to Kristen for being not only my Instagram collab friend, but for inviting me and introducing me to Joshua, and to Joshua for putting me on stage. It means the world to me to get to speak to all of you tonight. Although he was wrong, I'm not actually an Oregon native. The first time I came to Oregon specifically was in 2007. I came for a roller derby tournament. It was the most beautiful city I had ever seen. It satisfied 15-year-old me and reinvigorated that kind of wisdom that's only known in childhood, but we tend to lose it over time. I know you guys, you know what I'm talking about, okay? That sense of enchantment, like that anything is possible, which it tends to fade as we get older and we realize that life is just slightly more complicated than math tests and double dates. My only regret was that I waited until 2014 to move here. And let me tell you, when I finally did, I had never met friendlier people. I had never seen cleaner streets. I had never been happier to call a place home in my entire life. And all I wanted to do was contribute to that city, to Portland, to the culture, the art, the music, the pulse of that city. I wanted to do what I could for it. And so I started a nonprofit called Sanctum that worked to make psychedelic assisted therapy affordable. And just so that there's no confusion, I know that there's a lot of conservatives in the room. We have known that psychedelic therapy counteracts depression, PTSD, anxiety, depression, all that stuff since the 1950s. So if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You're just wrong. Anyway, that 15-year-old me, that 15-year-old excitement that anything is possible flooded back through my system. And I worked tirelessly to make psychedelic assisted therapy affordable so that anyone could benefit from it. From our brave soldiers, our veterans, our first responders, and people that are just could use it because they're suffering from all kinds of maladies, whether they be drug addictions or mental health issues. Look, you don't have to agree with me, but the science is there, the history is there, and the success rates are undeniable. And so I created a weekly open mic that Joshua had mentioned as part of our nonprofit offerings. It grew into the largest open mic in the history of Portland. Sometimes it takes a New Yorker. For 7 years it lasted, it was a place where anyone, no matter her or his opinion, sorry, no they, thems in this room, her or his opinion would be welcome. After that, my business partner and I created a thrift store that was the first thrift store of its kind to raise money for psychedelic assisted therapy, so that we can help our neighbors, our sisters, and our brothers who are slowly dying in the streets from dangerous drugs or PTSD from combat, whether that combat was overseas or the combat in the streets, which our brave police officers deal with every single day. And so we worked ourselves to the bone. We operated a thrift store 6 days a week while hosting a weekly open mic that itself was 5 or 6 hours, so it was like a second job. Monthly integration circles, a bi-monthly speaker series, monthly speaker series as well, organized 2 3-day conferences, as well as providing an event space for countless organizations, requiring us to put in hundreds of unpaid hours on top of the thousands of unpaid volunteer hours we had already put into our own organization. And everything was going great. We were exhausted, but we were winning. We saved, helped, or otherwise changed countless lives for the better. People struggling with addiction came to our open mic just to get and stay clean. We were absolutely loved by the larger Portland art and healing communities. One person said that our open mic was a drug recovery group disguised as an open mic. And she was right. That's exactly what it was. And it was working. And then, hold on. And then I committed a sin. And not just any sin, my fellow Oregonians, this was like the most egregious sin a person could ever commit. Did I murder someone? No. SA? Of course not. No, what I did was I pointed out that non-binary is a fashion trend, which it is, and that gender ideology mutilates children, which it does. Now, besides mountains of evidence that proves me right, as Joshua said, the mob came for me. My community was torn apart, my open mic was destroyed, my business had to close. I lost everything that 15-year-old me had built. I got death threats, I got arson threats. I'm still not allowed to go anywhere in Portland. Like, this is the first time I've been in public since last June. People who I dedicated my life to helping suddenly pretended they didn't even know who I was. Even the ones who agreed with me. No, it was just not socially wise to associate with me at all. Thank you. I gave my blood, sweat, some hairs, hours, and life to building the largest addiction recovery machine the city had ever seen. And I did it with art, music, and the magic of God's medicine. It grows on cow shit, by the way, which is the ultimate proof of God's existence. Life and consciousness grown from immaterial matter. What a miracle. I had to watch everything I built die because I do not bow to the stupidest idea I've ever heard, which is gender ideology. And that's in a strong field alongside postmodernism, Marxism, and Satanism, by the way. Still the dumbest of all, because it takes all of those to create this one. Anyway, I'm just here to say that there's a reason I haven't packed my bags and left. And it's because I still believe in Oregon. You see, I owe it to my 15-year-old self to stay here and say, fuck you. If you cannot yet tell by the atrocious noise that comes out of my mouth, I am an Italian from New York. And you see, over in New York, every kid had their West Coast dream, right? And all my friends had their California dream. Scenes of sun and surf, beefcakes and Speedos, beauties and bikinis, right? Not me. Mine was an Oregon dream. And it still is. And I invite you all to celebrate with me because I believe that we are witnessing the return of that Oregon dream. That dream, it's the Oregon I first experienced when I got here. Clean streets and friendly neighbors. Low crime and healthy minds. While I did grow up in New York, I am absolutely an Oregonian today, and I can prove it. I'm going to prove it to you all right now if anybody doesn't believe me. You see, in New York, rain is just another pain in the ass. Everything in New York is a pain in the ass. Now you add rain to it, now it's an even bigger pain in the ass. So I despised it. I hated the rain. But somewhere along the way, I started to love the rain. I fell in love with the rain of Oregon because I noticed something. Obviously, rain falls, it falls everywhere, right? But here, the rain rejuvenates. It doesn't just come down, it brings everything up.
Yeah.
It's not so much rain as it's medicine running through the catheter of our beautiful natural landscapes, dripping into the veins of Oregon. And if we let it, if we all in this room and all the people outside this room, if we let it, it can heal us and it can heal our state. It can heal the Oregon that's in all of our hearts. You see, unlike my New York friends, I eschewed Southern California because my West Coast dream, it wasn't about plastic, la la land, perfection, none of that. It was about possibility. And I think that possibility is still here. So, despite the death threats, despite somebody setting fire to my porch, I'm staying. You will not chase me out of this state that I love. I am an Oregonian, and I'm not going anywhere. Because I believe this place is worth saving, and I know that you all do too. And if you don't agree with me, then you're just wrong again, and that's okay. Love you too. Let's all bring back the Oregon dream, because I'm telling you right now, there's a 15-year-old me out there somewhere that is counting on it. You free your mind by using your brain. Peace.
But a little bit about myself. People know me from my family. But, everywhere I look around in the state and this town, I can see footsteps of my ancestors. But that isn't who I am. I've gone and left Oregon, seen the world, studied mainly, started businesses, grown employees' whole families. And the state really means a lot to me. And see the direction it's going. That's why I'm running for office. Because we need less career politicians, people who come from the private sector. We know how to build, know how to create opportunities. So how to stimulate growth in the state, because these career politicians, it's more the same. We can't be continuing on the same path expecting a different answer. Amen. So, but now, last night, I lying down in bed. I had a lot going through my head. Sometimes you got a million things racing through your head and you just can't sleep. But you force yourself to just lay that head down. It's business issues I had to deal with today and personal issues. And then what was I going to say today? So I think God came to me and he said to me, presented to me two things, hope and faith. Now, hope is the state. Well, I see people in here in this room who still have hope. Thank God, I do too. I have hope at the state. But people have been living in the state, our family and friends who've lost hope. And reasonably so. What's been happening in Salem has been ruining our state. And they'd rather go and try over than have to fight the fight here. Now, but faith is different. Faith is realizing that even though God has put challenges in front of you, he's leading you in the right direction. You might think that he's left you, but he's the one carrying you at that time. And I have faith that we can bring the state back. But it's with people. It's a different type of government politician. And I see all these people that are running for office, which right now is an exciting time. I love this right now. Because I started running back in almost a year ago, and now things get real, right before the primary. To find out if I got the grip for it all. And I hope I do, and I think I do. I think the state needs a politician like me to come into Salem and start cleaning it up along, not just for Salem. We have governors, the governor candidates right now, we have a lot of great ones too. So faith, I'm hoping that with your support, your faith in me, we can instill some hope and bring back the state to what it used to be. My name is Trip Dietrich. I'm fighting for the future of Oregon.
All right, that was awesome. Trip's awesome. I've had a great time getting to know him back there. It's been incredible. So we got another candidate here, Jonathan Lockwood. He's a constitutional conservative that primary campaign for CD5, going against Janelle Bynum. He's a candidate who has what it takes to defeat Janelle Bynum in this November and has support from all over the state, even outside of his district rooting for him. Let's welcome Jonathan Lockwood. Party. Stop saying here today because we are on fire for an Oregon revival, and we will get it this year. We are done watching radical Marxists like Tina Kotek, Janelle Bynum, and their collaborators, even on our own side of the aisle, turn the greatest state in America into a fentanyl-soaked, open border, baby-killing, election-stealing socialist sewer. I am so sick of seeing Janelle Bynum get away with calling American ICE heroes goons and state-sponsored terrorists
while jihadists openly plot to slaughter us with knives and hammers in grocery stores. I am not here to play nice. I love Lori Kramer. I work for her, but I am not going to be as nice as she was to Janelle Bynum. My name is Jonathan Michelangelo Lockwood. I'm also an Italian, bringing some fire to Oregon. But I am not from New York. I am from Denver. I am a battle-hardened fighter for Oregon's 5th Congressional District, who's already annihilated leftist bills across the country. Before law school, I had a 15-year public relations career where I served as a press secretary for 28 House Republicans, communications director for numerous campaigns that were successful, as an executive director of multiple nonprofits and private sector organizations. I've worked as a top advisor for leading voices in Oregon's political systems, by the way, who are actually conservative, 2 who ran for Secretary of State. I did my undergrad in journalism and went to Georgetown University, the #1 public relations program in the country, before going to Santa Clara University School of Law. While I was there, I attended the University of Cambridge and Leiden University in the Netherlands, studying international law. I completed, among these degrees and jobs, I don't sleep a lot, 4 fellowships with top conservative organizations, including the American Legislative Exchange Council, that helps to model legislation for conservatives in every state legislature. I also sit on the National Board of Policy Advisors for the conservative think tank, the Heartland Institute, based in Illinois. I'm a well-trained, strongly equipped, and proven communications and policy force. Democrats don't really like me in Salem. And they're really not going to like me in Washington, D.C. A key aspect in the primary is that I helped kill HB 3063, the demonic Forcible Injections Act that would have forced our innocent children to take over 30 vaccines without a parental consent. Without parental consent. This radical schedule that people are forced to adhere to, mostly because insurance companies don't want to pay up the co-pays and so on. Even if you are pro-vaccine, this bill is very extreme. I worked with the Slava community. They really hadn't had an entry point into Oregon politics, and they gifted me a Matryoshka doll with a beautiful letter, and I got letters from hundreds of kids across the state and parents who thanked me for helping kill that bill. The issue, though, is that I stood with real conservatives to stop the biggest tax hikes in Oregon history, defeat anti-gun tyranny, and protect medical freedom from the Kate Brown lockdown cult. But tonight we face an even bigger betrayal inside of our own ranks. Janelle Bynum is a radical extremist who personally voted yes on Measure 110, the blood-soaked law that decriminalized fentanyl and hard drugs, turning Portland into a zombie apocalypse and flooding our streets with dead Oregonians. She called it a hard toss-up, but backed it anyway. Then had the audacity to flip-flop and pretend she fixed it after the bodies piled up. I have spoken to a lot of grandparents in my district who are raising their grandchildren because their children died before them. This woman, Janelle Bynum, called border security funding murder money. Screamed, "This isn't law enforcement, it's state-sponsored terrorism. Get your goons out of here and get to stepping." She equated ICE agents doing their constitutional duty to the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, her own party's legacy, comparing American lawmen hunting down cartel killers and terrorists to slave catchers. She voted against protecting women's and girls' sports, calling this a green light to bullies and perverts. For keeping biological males out of our daughters' locker rooms and showers. She voted against the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, against real rape survivor justice, and against every common sense measure to secure our elections. And who does the weak-kneed GOP think they're going to throw up against her? Patty Adair, the Deschutes County Rhino Commissioner who voted to raise property taxes on hardworking Oregonian families, gave herself, a retired Malibu mansion lady, a $14,000 salary hike while turning Deschutes County into Malibu North for rich Californians. She even bragged about it, saying that the number one job that she felt that she was proud of was turning Deschutes County into a destination resort for Malibu residents in California. She bragged that Deschutes is the number one feeder county into Deschutes. Well, she also admitted at a recent campaign stop, the one that she was actually present with me at, that she can't run and win in Deschutes because it's got so clear that no Republican can run there and win. So now she's decided to go up against Janelle Bynum. But she supported HB 3063, the vaccine nightmare that I helped destroy. She backed Kate Brown's tyrannical lockdowns, mask mandates, and stay home, save lives communism that crushed small businesses and kept kids out of school. She's pro-tax, pro-vax, and pro-mask, and too spineless to even stand next to me at a conservative event. We also know that during COVID, the lockdown money didn't just fund businesses with these loans they never had to pay back. It also funded sex workers, prostitutes, and traffickers in Portland. They received grants. One organization had 75 sex workers. So while I was unemployed, starting the pandemic, looking for new contracts, great time to be doing that, and having to tap into my retirement to get by, people like that were getting money. People that were working were getting unemployment. We had in multiple states $1 billion missing in unemployment funds. The total amount of money in Minnesota that has been fraudulently given out to these Somalians totals more than the amount of money about 2 weeks ago that we spent on Iran.
Wow.
These are terrible numbers, to say the least. But Patty Adair doesn't have the capability to stand up to Janelle Bynum. And nominating her would be suicide for the most flippable seat in Oregon. We cannot allow insiders to hand Bynum another term to keep importing jihadists, defending drug decriminalization, and attacking our God-given rights. Right now in 2026, ISIS-inspired savages are still plotting to butcher us on American soil. The FBI just stopped an 18-year-old in North Carolina planning a knife and hammer jihad massacre at a grocery store and fast food joint, pledging allegiance to ISIS while our southern border remains a highway for terrorists, fentanyl, and military-aged males. They thwarted bombings in California and New York. Yet Bynum calls the men stopping this racist and terrorists themselves. Enough. Here is the non-negotiables that we will have in the office of a Congressman Jonathan Lockwood. Deport every last illegal alien. No amnesty, no release, no sanctuary, mass deportations, criminals, terrorists, and traffickers first. Secure the border with walls, troops, and shoot to kill authority against invaders. And vote by mail forever. I brought this since 2011. 800,000 ineligible voters on the rolls. Ballots delivered like DoorDash. This is how Democrats rig elections. Proof of citizenship, in-person voting only. Same-day counting, paper ballots, voter ID, and felony prison for fraud. No more stolen elections. There's this case law that even talks about people having to forfeit their election if even just one vote was stolen. Because our security in our elections and voter trust in the system is actually more important than voter intent. So even if it doesn't change the outcome of the election, it is still an issue. And that took me studying law to come to terms with, because I bought into, oh, well, if it's only 12 votes that were stolen and the election didn't change, why are we gonna like burn the house down about that and die on the hill? But we should, and we must, and we will.
Yeah. Amen.
But we also must protect the unborn. Like the innocent lives they are. Total ban on late-term and sex-selective abortions, defunding Planned Parenthood, and recognizing life as conception. No more child sacrifice to the Democrat death cult. They are trafficking little babies. And when I was at the Oregon legislature, Democrat Senator Elizabeth Steiner Hayward literally cornered me on the Senate floor smacked her hand across the wall like a psycho, all googly eyed, like those things that, kids glue on crafts. She looked deranged. But I asked her, why were illegal aliens included in this bill? And she slammed her hand against the wall and she said, because they came here to work. Really? She sounds an awful lot like Kate Brown, who said, these are the people who pick our grapes and mow our lawns. We have to keep them here. And that's exactly, they consider that. They consider trafficking and sex work. They've sanitized all these things. It's disgusting. But we also have to defend Title IX and real women. And I don't have this prepared, but there are children just like I was when I was 5 years old that weren't roughhousing like the other boys, who are now being ushered into this twisted and demented and exploitative, pharma-backed, psychiatry-backed, and medical establishment-backed twisted practice. And I have met people that have gone down that to varying degrees and tried to regain their life. One girl was dodging bombs in Israel and left her binders behind because her life mattered more. And it was in that moment she cognited, that's not who I am. And now she was at a recent event with David Medina. And we cannot ever stop defending the Second Amendment. Constitutional carry everywhere, no red flag conversation. They use really creative messaging saying, oh, if you don't beat your wife, then you won't have your guns taken. Well, that's also not true, because you can be falsely accused, have your firearms taken, then they go missing. I mean, we have so many weird issues with criminal justice reform that we can do from the right. I mean, there was one art gallery in, I think it was Minnesota, who had a gallery showing, and they served champagne. Oh my goodness. They had all the vehicles that were parked taken under civil asset forfeiture. There's a lot of things we can do on that front, but we must revive rural Oregon. And I've said this in a lot of my speeches. I did more prepared things tonight because I don't want to miss anything and all the excitement and time that we have. But Oregon was Great Depression proof. And now, as the rest of the country is rebounding, we're still living in a depression. We are almost 50th in the nation for just about everything that matters. Where we rank in the top is for public employee retirement benefits. Some people making $100,000 a month. And I will tell you, when I was fighting against the state's foster care system, if you can call it that, it's a state custody system, and state-sponsored child trafficking, where kids end up in facilities. And I'm telling you, when I started digging into this, I haven't felt very scared on working on any issue, really, and even taking on top Democrats. It was scary. And the ungodly things I read reports about, would bring me to tears. And I just was like, how is this legal and how is this happening? And, I don't think we have to get into I think you can imagine how bad some of these facilities get. But Oregon was shipping foster children across state lines to facilities with known records of human rights violations, including rape rooms, fight clubs, and the rest. It is it's multi-billion-dollar industry. Well, the state was not only paying to send kids to those institutions, the state treasurer was also investing PERS funds into those facilities to pay for employee retirement benefits for state workers. We have these domestic issues, but we also have the real threat, the jihadist threat. We have to have full funding for the FBI, ICE, and Border Patrol. We can have a discussion about boots on the ground versus drone strikes versus cyber attacks versus working with people in the area of Iran. We should have a full spectrum conversation. I don't want to see Oregonian sons and daughters sent to an endless war of boots on the ground. And mind you, the Iraq war and Afghanistan war were Congress approved. So saying like, oh, this all has to be Congress, no, there is different levels to this. And I understand this from studying international law. If you have an imminent threat that has to be thwarted, the president doesn't need to go to a Congress full of people like Janelle Bynum to do what they need to do to keep us safe. I am running to defeat Janelle Bynum. I'm not running for a political promotion because I turned my own area into a blue hellhole, like Patty and Derek. But I really do think that we have to get this right. I will walk every single door in the district. We have to have a candidate that's willing to do the sweat equity of a campaign. It's not just about getting big donations from a few people. It is hard work. I've worked on countless campaigns for other people, knocking doors regardless of what other titles I racked up. When I was a state director of one organization, I did all the same door knocking that every staffer did. We have to bring that same energy. Campaigns are an uphill battle, and we have to campaign like we're losing every single day and wake up every day with making sure that we give Janelle Bynum hell and make sure the media actually covers the real issues. Janelle Bynum, when she was in the legislature, was a rapist sympathizer. She was the sole vote, believe it or not, the only Democrat. So she's worse than every single other Democrat in the legislature on this issue. But she's been crazy. And I've said this at a few other events. She's acting like she represents Compton and not Clackamas. She's acting like MC Washington. She even attacked Chuck Schumer, saying that he's not out here snatching wigs. And I had to look up what that meant. But it means like, going and fighting in the streets. And she is acting like this. Mind you, she did not act like that when she was representing Happy Valley in the legislature. And when she was attacking Lori DeReamer for living in a gated community that she lives down the street from. She lives in a mansion in Happy Valley, and she slipped, like most politicians do, like Patty did, about not being able to run for re-election in a district borough maybe. Janelle Bynum admitted that she was visiting family near the ICE facility. The area around the ICE facility is low-income Black families, workers, and they can't get sleep, they can't get rest. And they can't get relief from the people that decide to constantly riot and protest outside their homes. She does not stand up for Black Oregonians. I don't care how many fake nonprofits say she does. And I will take that fight to her. We cannot be scared to fight Democrats on the issue of human rights. And you can follow me on social media. I'm easy to find, but you can go to Lockwood for Oregon to donate, volunteer, and learn more. Thank you all tonight.
All right, give it up, John. In a heartbeat, I believe it. I believe it because we are in the red wave and it's an amazing day. Thank you guys very much for coming on this Thursday evening to the Oregon Boys Revival. Now our next guest, get some fun. You guys good? Feeling good? All right, me too. So our next guest really doesn't need much of an introduction. All of you guys know who she is. She was one of the first people to stand up against Governor Kate Brown during the 2020 lockdowns. She got national attention. She was being recognized everywhere, smeared everywhere, and people was coming after her, came after her businesses, came after everything. And to see where and how she has evolved from that moment, she's only risen like the phoenix and is doing 10,000 times more things, 10,000 times more exposure. My friend, Lindsey Graham, the Patriot Barbie, give it up.
Oh, anti-Republican, just went party mode. Thank you guys so much. What was that? It's a little emotional, I gotta be honest. I actually have not been back to Salem since 2020. Yeah, and I've watched, the updates in downtown and things like that. But today was the first day in about 6 years that I stood outside my salon and just kind of relived, like every day I walked across that Liberty Street crosswalk to that business. And today it really just kind of fell really heavy on me that like Democratic government took my life away from me. I mean, that is like, that's the story. That's the headline. It's not Lindsey Graham is a white supremacist. It's not Lindsey Graham is a murderer for opening during COVID. It's leftist policies destroyed my life. But I'm back here in Oregon because it's really important to me. I know I did. Sorry, not sorry. Couple reasons. Getting my children do you guys remember that CPS came after my children? Yeah. So getting my children to safety and my family to safety was the number one priority. And with Antifa tracking me and with my salon being graffitied and getting death threats and literally closing the blinds in my house because I did not know who knew where I lived and what would happen, getting to safety was the number one priority. And I know that the left loves to paint it that like, they ran me into town. And we love the left's narrative. They can just have it because it's always lies. But I will tell you that I'm standing here today, 6 years later, to tell you that getting canceled for doing what was right is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And you don't have to take my word for it. My life is living proof. We ran for our lives out of Oregon. We moved to a red state. And when I got there, I had this weight that was lifted. That as soon as my kids were safe and I felt safe, I got stronger. Like for those of you that are sitting here, you stayed and you fought, and there is so much commendability for that because I couldn't do it. And it's okay to say that. I couldn't do it. I was too scared. You guys, I wasn't political before 2020. I wasn't walking side by side with Jesus. I was the people that we are so mad at now that are just living their life and like putting their kids in public schools, eating red 40 and, no offense. All the things, right? I just wasn't like, I voted for Biden, or not Biden. Take that out. I voted for Obama in like, what year, 2008? I don't even know what year he ran because I wasn't into politics. But I was like, first part president, whatever. Minding my own business, not paying attention to anything. So for me to stand up against the government just because I was level-headed and sane, it catapulted me into recognizing there's something very, very wrong here. How can I regret the moment that I realized there was something more to fight for? And that is what COVID did. I know that we hate what happened in 2020. I know that we hate that the government locked our children down and they committed suicide for being so lonely, and that people didn't get to see their, loved ones die in hospitals. And we hate the government for it. But man, did they piss us off enough that you're all sitting here right now. Because there are people like me who were sitting there doing absolutely nothing, minding my own business, and they activated those people. And when I got to Arizona, safe, I looked around my life and I lost all my businesses. I had no job. I had no job offers. I had no savings. I had no income. I had no, future. And I went, oh, so now I can say whatever I want because there's nothing you can take from me. I've already been canceled. I can say whatever I want. You just gave me the greatest gift you could ever give me, little leftist. They're done. So what happened was, I don't know if you guys know, but the left, like the way that I became the Patriot Barbie is the left made a meme of my face and said, I don't always play Patriot Barbie, but when I do, I kill people's grandmas and I steal their money. And it was because I had bought my first Make America Great Again hat and took a selfie, and I was like, all right, you're gonna call me a Trumpster? I'm a Trumpster. And I got to Arizona and I was like, I think I'll be the Patriot Barbie. That's what I've got to do, right? It's true, but and you guys, I just want to tell you what you think you saw on TV and in the news. The devastation of being threatened with jail time and $50,000 a day fines, and your home being taken, and your business license being taken, and your children being taken, all of that, I would do it all over again, and I wouldn't change a thing. Because I am here to say that what the devil meant for bad, God meant for good. Sometimes I can't believe that this is my story. It's like I'm telling another person's story. But there was a moment that I realized that my life in Oregon was over. Like everything I had known, I had been a pillar of this community. I had donated to fundraisers. I had ran fundraisers. People liked me until I stood up to the government. And in my brand new home that we were having to sell, when we decided that we were going to move out of Oregon because everything was falling apart and we had no life here, I am so thankful to my parents who raised me conservative, raised me in a Republican household, and raised me in church. Because even though I wasn't walking with the Lord, and I wasn't even voting conservative, if I was voting at all, I had a moment where I had to address that my whole life was over. And I had to ask myself, is the God that I was raised on this God right now? That he's real, that he loves me, and that he has I love this, this one back, preach the strength. And does he have good plans for me? Because right now I'm sitting in a car that now I can't pay for, in a house that we just built that we have to sell, and 6 businesses that we have to leave behind and run for our lives. And like everything I worked for 15 years is gone. Is that the God that I serve? Do I believe what I was raised on? And I literally watched my entire life fall apart. And I said, Lord, I trust you. And I meant it. That's what real faith is. I meant it. I meant it when there was nothing to have faith in, when there was nothing to praise him for. And I said, and I actually got, I was crying, I was ugly crying. And then I started smiling and thinking, I really, really loved this life. I really did. So how much better is the one you're going to give me? How much better could it possibly be if this is what I loved and you took from me? And I have become a political activist. I've written a book about my story. My platform has grown. Why? Because I'm speaking truth. That's it. I'm not viral. I'm watching businesses that have conservative values. So I'm like, you can't cancel me. The left tried to cancel me again like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, wow, you guys are jobbers. This is hilarious. Can't do it. But the Lord has really given me a beautiful gift in doing what was right. And I want you guys to never forget that it's going to be hard. It's going to get harder. The longer we live in a world that's morality continues to drop, the more watered down our truth and our morality is going to be, and the harder it's going to be to stand for it. You're already seeing that. But I'm telling you, it's so, so rewarding because the Lord has given me such a gift. I'm a stay-at-home mom now. I'm focused on my children. I left the boss babe mentality behind. And being able to fight for conservative values and stand in truth is just a gift that I will forever be thankful for. And since we're here, thank you. Since we're here at a political forum, I just want you to remember that, like, who's governing this state matters. Like, I had to stand up for myself by myself because Kate Brown was calling me a menace to the community. Kate Brown wasn't women empowering me. She wasn't standing by my side saying, this mom needs to work. She was saying, I can go get my hair done. You shut down and you apply for loans that you have to pay back to give your employees that aren't working. Make it make sense. Pay the lease that you're not open with and then pay that money back later. I can't even compute it. That is who I was fighting. Never in my life did I think another woman would take down another woman the way that she did. So who is fighting your battles for you? Because I don't ever want to see anyone have to stand up alone by themselves again. You need government that has your back. That's the point of government. You're the people. And if Oregon would have had the right person running this state, well, I wouldn't be on this stage, would I? And that would be a shame, but no regrets. But it would have made a hell of a difference. And I'm really proud of you guys, for being here, for standing for what's right, for being open about it. I bet you if cancel culture didn't exist and Antifa wasn't so aggressive, this place would be full. But there are people that are still scared. Don't be scared. You guys are not, and I appreciate that of you. Can we get 30 more minutes on the clock? Just kidding. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. And a young Republican of Oregon, welcome to the stage. Do your dance.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm here to introduce some lovely ladies over there. I would like you to please welcome Taryn Fisk is an Oregon-based conservative advocate. Mother of three. That's amazing. In 2025, she became Oregon State Director for Women Gun Rights, advocating for lawful gun owners and Second Amendment rights in one of the most restrictive states in the country. She also serves as a precinct committee person in Columbia County. She works with Turning Point USA since 2020. Very nice. Professionally, she is Director of Operations for a Washington, D.C. based conservative media company, leading national campaigns through influencer and alternative media strategy and working on political campaigns focused on messaging and voter outreach. That's very nice. Welcome, and please welcome Christine Sokolov. I'm sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing that. That's hard to pronounce. Clackamas County resident and proud Oregonian, nationally recognized political commentator, Portland police wife, and co-host of the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast, ranked top 3 globally. Very nice. Christine is a former corporate banker turned influential voice in today's political and cultural conversation, reaching millions each month across the world, known for her sharp insight, fearless perspective, and ability to say what others do. She's real-world experience and positive honesty to the stage. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. It was an honor.
Well, thank you.
All right. Do we have everyone queued up back here? All right, I got a thumbs up. This is exciting. Okay. Just had to confirm something real quick here. All right, I'm going to introduce our first gubernatorial candidate. We have David Medina. Hand for David. Thank you. Next, David has been doing so much, and you know, it's really wild to watch him progress over the years. I think we met for the first time, David, in 2022. And it's just really cool to see that he's running for the people. Let me give him a formal introduction here. David brings a background rooted in business, community engagement, and a focus on economic opportunity. His campaign centers on expanding individual freedom, reducing regulatory burdens, and creating an environment where businesses and families can thrive in Oregon. Let's give David another warm welcome. Welcome, David. And it is my honor to introduce to you Danielle Bethel. Danielle currently serves as a Marion County Commissioner and has built her campaign around public safety, government accountability, and improving outcomes in areas like housing, mental health, and community services. She brings experience in local government and a focus on practical, results-driven leadership. Please join me in welcoming Danielle Bethel. All right, Paul Ramiro, come on out. Let's go, come on. We're on time. Paul from 2022. Good. All right. I've moderated the 2022 gubernatorial debate and Paul was there. So this is like a homecoming. I know, I'm excited to hear from you. Excellent. Well, we are going to be asking a series of questions to all three of you. And the goal is to stay within a 2-minute answer. So you can piggyback. Yeah, we'll just put our hand in the air. Yeah, we'll do one of these. I'd like to apologize. I don't have a formal welcome for you, sir, but I am going to give you guys all 2-minute introductions. So why don't we let you start first? Yeah, sound great?
All right, so my name is Paul Romero. Believe it or not, I'm a Cajun from Louisiana, but I grew up in Oregon starting in the 5th grade. So as you can tell, I just sound like the all-American white guy. I go back home and my family jokes about my accent. Yeah, that's kind of good. Anyway, I'm a 10-year Navy veteran, a cryptologic technician. Thank you. This intelligence field is to bring code to my brain. As an analyst and volunteer for cool stuff. Lived in Spain, Turkey, crossed the line of death off of Libya, Persian Gulf, all kinds of fun things. Spent a lot of time in school, degree in workforce education and development, something we need here in Oregon. And one of the big projects that we bring as governor is the Wild West Water Restoration Project. It's actually going to include about 9 other states, but it starts here in Oregon. And that could potentially bring up to 2 million jobs, good jobs. So, hey, I'm all about the work, and we need to rebuild our workforce. Our young people need to see that the light at the end of the tunnel is not an oncoming train. I know a whole bunch of adults would like to see that too. So I look forward to seeing what we can do to actually fix the state. I know the process. We have to end these taxes. We have to use our natural resources and the revenues from that. And that way we take the burden off Oregonians. It's been way too long. I grew up in Central Oregon. I know what it's like. I know what it used to be like. It used to be heaven. This is God's country. Well, things have changed. When I first came back to Oregon, I was kind of surprised. I felt like mom when she cleaned the house and then left, and 15 minutes later came home and it was destroyed. It's kind of how I felt when I first came back to Oregon. I was like, man, I leave for a couple of years, and what do you guys do? What happened? Well, unfortunately, the elements that work against us are slow and they're patient. But one thing I know about Oregonians is we're resilient. You talk about that pioneer spirit. Well, it's time to awaken it and get everybody on the same sheet of music. So anyway, my name is Paul Romero. You can find me on romerofororegon.com. Please take a look at my contract with Oregonians. It'll cover some great ground that you'll love to hear about. So thank you. Okay, are we going to do karaoke?
I am not doing karaoke.
Okay.
All right, do you guys all want to do your introductions now? Let's do it. We have
This is your show. We're along for the ride.
Let's do it. Danielle.
Okay, so I'm Danielle Bethel. I actually sincerely want to welcome all of you to Marion County. If you do not live in this community, you do not know probably that I'm a Marion County Commissioner. My office is literally across the street. I have been in that role now 6 years. I'm running for governor because it's time that we have a decisive leader that wants to come into that office and actually perform government to its best skills. Right now, we have an ideological divide in this state. It's been in that space for way too long. As a county commissioner for 6 years, I have essentially begged, pleaded, and borrowed everything I possibly can to build a relationship with members of the legislature and the governor to no avail. I shouldn't have to try to kick down doors and beg for attention as a local elected in the 5th largest economy in Oregon. I deserve to see the table just like everybody else that's elected. 350,000 people said yes to my morals and values to run this community. And I can tell you, as a sitting county commissioner, I'm the only candidate in this race that's ever delivered an essential service within the means of my taxpayers' expectations and been able to perform real outcomes when it comes to all the crisis areas of policy that we experience statewide. I have a lot to say and a lot to offer, and I hope that you lean into my campaign. You can learn more at daniellebethelforgovernor.com. I promise you, you won't be, I think, overly shocked by the end of this debate that I have a lot to say. I'm going to be very direct. Thanks for being here.
How's everybody doing tonight? By the way, thank you to young people who've shown up. You can put this as part of my 2 minutes if you want, but thank you guys so much for showing up, and thank you to Josh Michaels for putting this on. I mean, how great was this? Is this a great one? This is so cool. And kids, you should all keep Googling Jesus Christ tonight, 'cause that's what Portland and Oregon needs to bring our state. We don't need more drugs. We need Jesus. We gotta get our kids. So they can play. Be careful on the Google searches tonight after the speech. John, I love you. Hey, one of the things we have all in common, the first speaker, John Hassis, and some of the other speakers, we all want to see a better Oregon. We all want to come together under one tent. People that believe in freedom, individual liberty, and smaller government, the way it was supposed to be, the way it was designed. Smaller, limited government, let us live our lives, get out of our way, and that is not what we've seen in Oregon. So, excuse me. I grew up in Oregon, a lifelong Oregonian, grew up in Turner, Salem area. Are there any Turner people here? Back, yes, Matt Jones, I see you. And folks, a few years ago, we started a movement. I wanted to turn out more Oregonians. I wanted to get more people awake in this state. There's too many people asleep, too many people, too much complacency. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to help out the Republican Party a little bit. Let's get more people paying attention to what's going on, because these people are out of control. These Democrats, these radical left Democrats are out of control. They need to be stopped, and it takes all of us. So I'm honored to be here, you guys. I'm a small business owner, graduated at George Fox University, even there, experienced CCP professors, yes. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's infected everywhere, guys. So I'm running for governor because I believe that Oregon can do better. I believe that we can win. I've been turning out people the last 5 years to stand up against the COVID tyranny, to stand up against this radical political machine that is hell-bent on ruining our lives. And I'm going to do so. If I get to the primary, we're going to turn out Oregonians like we've never seen before, and we're going to actually produce results and take our state back. So I'm so honored to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
We are ready to get some questions answered. The cool thing with tonight, and Josh designed it this way, these questions are coming from audience members. And these are themes that were selected by audience members. So the first theme is education. And we're going to start with you, Paul. Let's begin with education, because for many Oregonians, this feels like a system at a breaking point. Our education system, is it in the state of Oregon, is our education system truly broken? And if so, can it be fixed with more funding or structural reform, or does it require a full-scale overhaul